Let them talk if they want to. Talk don't bother me. I want the whole wide world to know that I love you so. Let them.
And welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DiRienzo.
And I'm Miss Joan Marie Musi.
And our guest tonight is Salley May, and we're going to be talking to Salley May. Is a great producer, impresario, and
Performance artiste.
And
Thank you.
we're going to talk about a new project that you're working on, and invite folks to come by. An old project, all right? And
that's coming up again
right.
this weekend.
30-year project.
Right.
Called the Avant-Garde-Arama, and it's been at PS 122 for how many years, Sally?
As long as PS has been operating as a performance space, 25 years. It's the longest running series there.
Well, although most of our viewers are in Manhattan and some around the world on the internet, maybe we should tell people a little bit about the venue, about PS 122. Where is that, and what is that about? It's a PS, sounds like public school 122, right?
Yeah, it used to be a public school, and then it became a community center, and some artists took it over and made it a theater space.
And where is it?
First Avenue and 9th Street.
First Avenue and 9th Street in Manhattan. That's in a neighborhood called by some the East Village, by its longer-lived denizens, the Lower East Side, the northern extension. And so folks know where it is and how to get down there. Of course, you just get down to Astor Place and walk over a couple of blocks to the east. Tell us a little bit about the Avant-Garde-Arama. What is that all about?
It's a series, and the title, you know, you hope that it's all new, cutting-edge kind of work. It's a series that has 6 different performers, artists, all different disciplines: music, film, dance, and there's a host in this case coming up. It's Hattie Hathaway and Happy Face, which is going to be fantastic.
Because the theme this time around,
Yes.
there's always a theme with the Avant-Garde-Arama, and this time it's the club scene.
The club scene, exactly. Avant-Garde-Arama, along those lines, tries to be an event, something where something other than just a cabaret act is happening. So one time I became a reverend of the Church of the Avant-Garde, and
By the way, we're watching some photographs I think they were taken last year.
good.
What, describe the photographs.
These photographs are
this here, right now. Tell us what they are.
This is a span of years,
Okay,
these photographs.
well, tell us about the photographs.
these photographs are by Ande Whyland, who documented the club scene.
You can see them over here, by the way. If you want to comment on any others, you can see them on the
Oh,
screen.
are they behind us?
Yes,
Is that how it's working? Fantastic.
Every few seconds, they're going to change. And
See how we can't see the whole screen because they're amazing.
we can make room.
Amazing.
will
Let's make
see-
room.
We
It's
can make
absolutely
some room.
You will
because
see the photographs at the Avant-Garde-Arama.
exactly.
So you don't want to miss this.
There
It's
we
going to
go.
be an
That's great.
incredible presentation. It's by Ande Whyland, who's a wonderful photographer that's been on the scene in the clubs, and theater, everywhere since the early 80s.
And she's continued to do it over all these
She's
years.
still
Different
working,
clubs. She was
that's
just at the
right.
Howell Festival I
What's
guess
the
it was
Howell
about
Festival?
Howell Festival is, I mean, you know as much as I do.
Yeah, it's a sort of
it's a Lower East Side kind of festival
In Tompkins Square
performance.
Park.
This
The
was at
infamous-
yeah.
Centered
The infamous
in
Tompkins Square Park.
Right.
But all over in different
Right.
venues
It's sort
around.
of
They have
growing out
panels
of all
and
sorts of things in a way. I mean, it's named after, of course, Allen Ginsberg's poem Howl, but it also sort of springs.
He used to
out
live
of
up the block from me over on 12th Street, so I
you
used to see him
have
all
some
the
good
time.
stories about
Yeah,
that.
I used to see
Everybody
him all the time.
would.
Right,
Yeah.
going on First Avenue to Christine's. I think he likes to eat there. He used to like to eat there.
Good.
The Polish deli on First Avenue. But so of course, Allen Ginsberg is very much a part of our community and our neighborhood, and the Howell Festival celebrates the artistic expression that the Lower East Side is pretty much, I hope, famous for around the world.
I hope so.
Yes,
It should be.
and this
Yeah.
is a part of that expression here right now.
But yeah, and back to Ande, she's an amazing photographer, and the reason I got this idea was, well, last Avant-Garde-Arama, we had an amazing show which was a tribute to Ethel Eichelberger, who Joni performed for many years with, and Ethel was my personal favorite performer of all time. My daughter's middle name is Ethel. And just such a moving, amazing performer. So we did, and spanned an unbelievable actor as well, you know, covered a whole span of performing, writing. And so we did our Avant-Garde-Arama with a tribute to Ethel. And there were photographs, whole installation that Joni and Joey Jeffries had put together with costumes and photographs and videotape. It was amazing. And through that process, I saw a photograph of Ethel that Andy had taken up on the bar at the Pyramid.
That's right,
with
in a
somebody's
green dress.
in a green dress. I'm sure it's going to come up here.
The pyramid. Now, what is the pyramid? Tell people. I know we all know what it is, but a lot of people
We
don't know.
do, and Joni, who has many an experience at the Pyramid, could probably describe its flavor, even better than I don't mean even, but better than I can.
Well, it was a wonderful nightclub on Avenue A. It still exists, but back in the day, in the 80s, it was sort of the forefront of the scene on the Lower East Side, and a lot of performers came out of there. My boyfriend at the time was the lighting designer, which is why Sally
That's why I'm
said
saying,
Right.
exactly.
I had quite a lot of experience there. Now here's Lady Bunny up on the screen.
All right.
Great.
All right. Let's. I'm
looks
sorry
like
to
I'm
move
wearing
you.
it.
Yeah,
way.
let me
Let
see,
me
can I get more out of the
Move you
way
a little
here?
bit.
For,
Yeah, you can get there. It's
Yeah.
fine.
That looks good.
Is that good?
There we go.
There
Oh,
we
and
go.
what is this guy's name? Carl.
Seems to be good to we could spend the whole show naming these
This guy
performers.
was so wonderful. I hope he's still around.
Yeah.
He used to perform at the Limelight, and he would introduce himself in this great flourish of like, and now the most wonderful.
Now the beauty of this episode. Oh, there it is! There it is!
Yeah,
Exactly.
This
Now
is
look,
exactly what Sally was talking about. This is Ethel on the bar
dancing,
at the
and
Pyramid.
Andy is taking the photograph from down below,
down,
and
yeah.
Ethel is up dancing. And something that Happy Face said in a performance I watched was that something about Ethel was that Ethel and a lot of these drag queen performers made a living by dancing on the bar at the Pyramid Club. And so something that Happy Face said, who was also a dancer at the Pyramid Club, that Ethel was always the first one up and the last one down.
Oh yeah, and that's actually how I met Ethel. Was dancing on the bar at
Right.
the Pyramid Club.
When you had to fill in
I
for
had danced a few times, and I walked in one day, and Brian Butterick said to me, who's also known as Hattie, he'll be one of the hosts at the Avant-Garde-Arama, could you dance tonight? And I said, well, I don't have anything to wear. I'm just here in my cut-off jeans and sneakers. And he said, well, Ethel is here, and he'll give you something to wear. So I met Ethel, and Ethel pulled out a big suitcase with a beautiful dress, and then he sort of looked at me, and he said, I don't know if you'd wear this. And he pulled out a huge feather headdress.
fantastic.
And I said, of course I would. Now there's RuPaul,
Right.
and also Hattie, who's going to be the host.
Hattie right in front, right?
That's right.
Mhm.
By the way, this show is live, and we have the phone number. I don't know if it's going to work. We'll give it one shot,
Yeah,
right?
try
If
it.
try
Exactly.
it, and we'll give it a shot.
And if you were on the scene, if you know who
757
any of these
Oh, great
people
idea.
are.
1538, and we'll try and take your call. I can't guarantee it'll work, but I will give it a shot. So.
Well, and just to keep going, I mean, as you can see by these photographs, the fantastic thing about the club scene, which everybody knows, but to see the photographs really brings to life just the personas that came out. It's just thrilling,
These
and
wonderful performers, a beautiful visual presentation.
gorgeous.
It's
This last Avant-Garde-Arama, Taylor Mack and Justin Bond were hosting that. And I was back in the dressing room, and Taylor Mack was putting on this unbelievable makeup
Pounds of
spread.
glitter.
Pounds, and telling me how to get the
You have a
economical
little bit
thing.
of glitter yourself, I
I
noticed. It's
learned
beautiful.
from the best.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
That's
very
right.
golden. blue
Yes.
theme, right? Yeah, it's good. Very good.
And he was saying how to buy, this instead of the eyelash glue that comes in this for $3.99, you get the big one for, $2.99. And he said, and I learned everything I know from, I don't know about everything, but from Flawless Sabrina. So she was another person that we called to do this show.
Yeah,
And
tell us a little bit about the people that are going to perform.
great, I'd love to do that. And also the process of putting that together. So interestingly, and I was talking to Andy about this today, who was going to be there but couldn't here tonight but couldn't make it. It's interesting to me because I've worked at PS 122 for 21 of those 25 years. I've been putting together this Avant-Garde-Arama, and it's remained totally thrilling to me. And I hope a new director came in and said, "How long do you think you're going to keep doing that?" I said, "Forever." Why are you asking me? But anyway, in putting this together, I mean, Andy and I were like saying, how do we, decide how to curate it?
Sure.
And interestingly, the club scene was very different for me, than the straight-up performance scene, like La Mama, PS 122. big crossover with King Tut's Wawa Hut, where a lot of us went to perform, and the Pyramid too, where
Sure.
you know everybody came through. But some of these other clubs I really hadn't gone to a lot, and also I had just missed the cusp of a lot of these clubs like Dorinka, 8BC, Danceteria,
Club 57.
Club 57, and so anyway, what we did was get together. Curators from all these places tried, you know, reach out
Sure,
everyone that we
people had worked
could.
in so many of these different clubs, and it was wonderful to go to the meetings.
Yeah.
Because it was like a reunion.
Yeah, it was a
of,
crazy. You know, those of us have Doug Wall. I mean, Club Chandelier, and anyway, it was just a big collection of people. We made a list of performers that we were excited by, and it was like, how many, Joni? We had like 50 people on that
Oh yeah,
list. It
we
was
had a pretty substantial list, and we figured that it would come together between availability,
and who we could
and who
actually
we could-
contact and get an
right.
email for, and
find.
yeah, exactly. And trying to do a mix of what we always do as you know,
Sure.
the formula of music, dance. Interestingly, also with the club scene, it's much more solo acts. So
Right.
this show is pretty heavily solo acts, but you know, big personas. Rosewood is somebody I talked to that Joey
Right.
recommended.
Now, what is there? Do you have a web page or email or? other
PS
contact?
122 has a web page where everything is
Right,
listed
all the
on. It's
particulars.
yes.
So that's just Google PS 122.
They,
or
they
your
could do
favorite
that,
search
or
engine.
it's ps122.org.
That makes it easy.
ps122.org.
Okay,
Yeah, and
great.
it's all up there.
Now, I know we're talking about happy things, but some sad events have happened. I know
Yeah.
that you were looking into the possibility of having Dean Johnson
Right,
come
right,
on the
right,
show,
right.
and then we heard the tragic news just a few days ago of Dean's passing. And I knew Dean very well, and he was on my
We
old
had had him
radio.
on the show
Yeah.
We did. I'd invited him to be on this
Yeah.
show. We was one
He
of
would
the
have been here
recommendations.
tonight,
Yeah.
so Dean Johnson would have been here tonight. Unfortunately, we heard that he passed away in Washington, D.C., and I read in today's Daily News that it's still being investigated,
Right,
basically.
that's what I
so,
heard also, yeah.
That's sort of frightening, and so we're hoping that, you know, God, you know, an OD is bad enough, but if it turns out there was some sort of
More
foul
than
play,
that, yeah.
we'll be very sad.
Oh
so.
dear, yeah. Well, he was a wonderful, wonderful performer. He was a fascinating person. He had two bands over the years, Dean and the Weenies, and then the Velvet Mafia, which
Yes.
both of which were
Right.
fantastic bands. He also was a club promoter.
Well,
He
I
did
got-
Rock and Roll Fag Bar. He did Homocore.
you have to understand, he was 6'4"? More than 6'4".
Very tall,
6'4",
beautiful man.
bald, not a stitch of hair on his head, and he wore basically a tube dress most of the time.
Well,
not-
to perform
yeah,
for
to
some of
perform.
the bands.
Yeah,
Most of the
right.
time.
But
Most of the time when he
he
performed.
was
But
a
most of my
wild
saw him.
dresser anytime.
Right.
If you ran into
He
Dean
did.
on the street, he
Uh-huh.
was it was just a very visually impactful
Right.
human being.
And he was just a wonderful songwriter. I mean, he
Wonderful lyricist, also had a blog,
was a, yes.
very brilliant writer, and ran a reading series at Rapture on Wednesday nights, and tomorrow night they're going to still gather for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
and
That's
so-
Rapture on Avenue A,
Right, 200 Avenue A. It's a
between 12th and 13th Street.
cafe, that's right.
Yeah. And
Which
what
is
time
run
that?
by Brian
By
Butterick.
Brian Butterick.
Eddie
Oh,
Hathaway.
and what time is that?
That's 8 p.m.
8 p.m. tomorrow night.
So anybody who'd like to pay their respects
Sure.
or has photographs to share with other people, that's going on tomorrow
Right,
night.
and they can meet us. We'll be there too.
That's right. And they can
Um,
also meet us at the Avant-Garde-Arama.
Yes,
Yes.
that's
So
even
we
better
hope
because
you'll
that would be
come.
a more happy occasion.
Now
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the performers.
Sure.
Because we've really got a pretty wide range of
Who's,
people.
do
that
we
are
know
gonna
who's
be
on the screen
appearing.
right now? I mean, I want to keep a running commentary for folks of.
Oh,
Is
I
that?
do know
I can't. My
the-
eyes are so bad. Is that John Kelly? No.
No, it's not. But I know that. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name. You've picked like the one moment where.
Well, we'll just continue on. There'll be other
Would you-
opportunities
Right.
as well.
So I'll
And
just
it-
keep
yeah.
watching it. But
Yeah, yeah,
meanwhile,
yeah,
why don't
yeah,
you
yeah.
tell
By the
us
way,
the
this is,
rundown?
we are live and our number is on the screen, and 212-757-1538. We'll take your calls
Call us up.
here on Let Them Talk. We're looking forward to talking to you. If you knew any of these folks, if you have anything, any stories about your interactions with any of the folks we're talking about tonight, feel free and give us a call here on Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DiRienzo, Miss Joan Marie Musi, and our guest is Salley May.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the Avant-Garde-Arama.
Coming up
So-
this weekend at PS 122.
Friday, Saturday night, 8 o'clock.
Friday,
Different
Sat-
shows both nights, which I'll, you know.
Right. And you can learn more at ps122.org. Again, tell us, we're getting back to the show this weekend.
The lineup.
Can you give us a little bit more information on the lineup and
Sure.
what to expect?
So, as I said, the hosts will be Hattie Hathaway and Happy Face. And Friday night, we have Alien Comic, who's performed in probably every club
That's
there
right.
ever was.
And a wonderful performer.
Wonderful, amazing,
Very funny.
prop-based, incredible performer. Also that night, Paul Zaloom.
Oh, another wonderful
yeah.
performer.
Wonderful.
Lots of fun.
Moved to
Both of
LA and also very and you should know also that a lot of the layout of the nights was just, you know, Paul's going back to LA and somebody had to go this night. So it's not
Logistical
even
concerns.
necessarily the balance that I would choose, but it's, you know, what we
Right.
ended up with, and
Sure.
it'll definitely work.
Right.
Factress, also known as Lucy Sexton,
Oh,
who
wonderful.
does the Lucy Show, who was also somebody that I'm raising children with. But she was
Right.
she was
That's
half of the duo Dance Noise, which was a really
And you're doing a lot better
political.
job than Brittany.
Well, and so
You
far
are. I
so
can
good in
attest to it.
comparison. Thank you.
You
Well,
have a
you've
beautiful
met the.
daughter.
Thank you,
and
thank
she's
you.
doing great. and
Thank
she's,
you.
In a great, loving, and nurturing
I'm hoping to
environment.
bring her in on our intro. I'm
Yeah.
hoping to bring Joni
Okay.
in our intro
Oh,
too.
You don't
I
have to
always
call-
too.
You don't have to call Kevin Federline to come on in.
I
And,
would love
Fantastic. So also Duke Lafayette, we try to do like, you know, old club long-standing club people and, you know, newer.
We're going to have to watch that word old all week.
I know, I just was thinking, I said the old? No, let's leave that out of the mix. But
time.
Yehuda is somebody who goes as Duke Lafayette and is doing this wild kind of strip tease thing with a mannequin. I probably shouldn't blow his gig, but
Right.
he's hooked up with Theater of the United States of America, which is a fantastic group that just did this huge event down around City Hall and with like 40 people in a little tiny place, and like people were spanning like for blocks to watch this thing. It was like real like outdoor.
Site-specific kind of
Yeah,
performance.
but just really exciting where, you know, not a single person there was making a cent. Not that that makes things more exciting, but that, you know, it was
Right.
at night. It was just a
That's
really, really beautiful event. And who did I leave off of Friday? Is that everybody? Oh, David Elku, who is a great solo performer and also part
we
of
know who the folks are here right now.
Dueling
behind us.
Bankheads. See, Andy was going to be here tonight.
Yeah,
and
well, you got to quit asking and let me
Okay.
just jump in. because
All right, I'll do
yeah,
that.
We end up
Sorry.
with a poor person.
I just love some of these
That I
characters.
know,
see
they
it
didn't
over and
know who
over
I
and over
I
and over.
know. All right, here's John Sachs, for
All right.
example.
All right, good.
And he's with, is that, is that Katie K?
You know, I can't really see that well.
Well, anyway,
Can-
it's definitely
can-
John
can-
Sachs.
Right.
And I
You can
think
also
it's
see on this
Katie
screen
K.
over here. It's a
Oh,
little
good. That's
closer.
an easier place where you don't
Easier
have
to
to
see it
weed
over there
through
on that screen.
us
Right.
human bodies. Good. So anyway,
Good, great.
Saturday night, Carmelita Tropicana.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
I love Carmelita.
She's fantastic,
She
and
is
you know,
a
I said
riot.
and she's somebody I called. You know, I called a couple of people and said, "Listen, we have so many solo acts. Can you just bring in some of your friends, your students, whatever?" And she
something.
goes, "I know how it's done. Of course, you know, it's like the old days at the Chandelier. I'll do it."
Wonderful.
Phoebe Legere is going to come
my
back.
Gosh,
Oh, wow.
That's great.
She was like, I left a message. She goes, I'd be. It sounds like a very intriguing event.
Oh,
You know, just
that's
this little
wonderful.
high,
Phoebe
wonderful
Legere
voice.
is
She's
fantastic.
great. Rose Wood, as I said, who, you know, is just, you know, I always do kind of an arbitrary lineup just to let everybody know who's on the bill. And Rose
Sure.
called me up and said, you know, I really don't think anybody's going to want to come after me. You might want to put me as a final act. Fantastic. You go, Rose.
All right.
And Flawless Sabrina,
Flawless Sabrina will be there.
who's been around also for quite a long time.
Yeah, you talk to her and she says, the longest standing drag queen. I can't remember what her little intro is when she calls and leaves a message, but she will be there. Scott Matthew is a musician who's performed a lot at Mo Pitkins, which is, by the way, going to close. I don't know if you've heard that, Mo
no.
Pitkins.
Another change. Every time I turn
yeah,
around, now there's changes.
what's,
The
you know,
strip.
WA is a constantly evolving
It's
area.
absolutely
You
true.
know,
And
you never know
that's
what's going to
that.
happen tomorrow.
Last person up, world famous Bob.
Oh,
Yeah, so we got a lot of
Right.
fantastic personalities.
it's going to be really fun.
It'll be great, and a big event will be video that is put together by Nelson Sullivan, who had like 2,000
Well,
hours of footage,
but-
right? But
right, but
yeah, He took the video, and
Nelson's
Robert
passed
Coddington.
away, right. So it's
Yeah.
Nelson's video, but it's done by Robert.
Right.
He actually edited it, and it's going to be really fantastic because
We've
it's going
looked
to
at it.
show so many different clubs.
And Joey Jeffries.
And Joey Jeffries, of course, worked with
who was the
him on
king
that
of all
edit.
to
That's
facilitate, who was
He's
like
a drag historian.
every 5 minutes I'm like, Joey, I need to I lost that phone number.
Now, Joey's been on our show before.
But Joey's
I'm sure you all
amazing.
remember.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing.
He's a drag historian, and
He organized one of our.
did the event at Lincoln Center Library.
Yes, that
which
was wonderful.
fantastic,
Which we played and
which
played
we
a couple of
played
times on this air.
several times
Yeah.
here. That's
And you can
right.
see on the internet on our YouTube site.
So you can see as these photographs go by that this is something you're not going to want to miss. This is a slideshow that's going to be just really, really fun, really exciting, and just so aesthetically
Right.
beautiful.
I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, the color and the life, and,
I mean,
and these are going to be throughout the
Such a
throughout the show.
fantastic photographer. Ande Whyland is her name.
And afterwards, I mean, always Avant-Garde-Arama evolves into a big dance party. Usually it's
right.
like the young, very cool. We have such wonderful tech and house crew at PS 122, and they usually plug in their iPods, and everybody starts dancing and drinking the beer, which
there is a
was
bar.
$2, and then
That's
it's free. Once we start dancing, it's
Great
free.
to know.
As long as it keeps flowing by all avenues, which it does. And Danny is Danny.
Yes.
Danny Johnson, who was wonderful. She was a DJ for many years at the Pyramid. She's going to provide us with a CD DJ mix.
So that'll be really amazing.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be
She's
just fun.
great. She's great at that. She's great at getting that party going, and
Yeah.
it'll be really
It'll be an
fun.
event, and that's the thing. I think we'll definitely hit the mark of being an event.
Oh,
And
great.
because it's different, the two different nights, you could come both nights. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, and see a different show both
see a
nights.
They're
different
totally,
show.
absolutely,
Yeah, you never
totally
know.
different shows both
Right.
nights.
That's great.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
two
remember
different
last year I just had a
lineups
great
of
time.
performers. That's
All right,
right.
so there's
Yeah.
two different lineups where folks are really into the art
Oh,
performance
here's
scene.
Mr. Fashion. I'm not sure who his friend is, but that's Mr.
Who, to the left or
Fashion.
right?
Right by you.
Oh, right by me, with a big smile.
That's right. I used to work with him quite a lot.
I've spoken to him recently. He came on the Ethel night dressed
That's
as
right.
Nefertiti and would like to repeat that performance, but it's 30 minutes long, so it wouldn't have fit in our context
Right.
currently, but, I
I'm
would
sure he'll
love
find
to
Right.
see
How
that
How long
again.
are the, each average performance? Or
We say 8 minutes or less because that way they can go up to 10.
right.
But
So it's fast moving. As
it's fast moving, but
Yeah.
the hosts get
I
in
like
there and
that.
riff a little bit, and then we got
Right.
the videos, and we got
Right,
the
right. Who's
And there's a
hosting
big
again? Just
introduction.
tell-
Hattie,
Salley.
Hattie
Yeah.
Hathaway and
host.
and Happy
And Happy
Face,
Face.
who used to host together as the Whispers
Mhm.
at Pyramid
Pyramid
Club.
I see, great. And so tell folks again, in the last few minutes of the show, how they can find out more information. PS122.
PS122.org is the
Right.
easiest way just to
Right.
go on
And PS122 is a performance space on the corner of First
First Avenue, 9th
and
Street.
9th Street in the East Village of Manhattan. And things get going at 8 o'clock, right?
8 o'clock is the
8
show.
o'clock,
Yep.
both Friday and Saturday. So we want to make sure folks know all that information and can come on down and have a good time. And so let's also just, again, from the beginning, run through for folks who might be just tuning in now
Sure.
what to expect. What can they expect on Friday?
Well, for the whole weekend, they can
Yes.
expect to come in and just, start to see and hear and be part of what I think is an atmosphere typical, not of necessarily a club, because the thing about, the clubs is that they were down and dirty and small and, tight, and I think
Right.
that's why so many solo performers came out of it. But with the people there, and also be a reunion of sorts, along with a new club scene, like people, there's a, and I contacted Julie Atlas Muse, Murray Hill, a lot of people that are now performing, in clubs. There's,
We've got a lot of name dropping going on here right
well,
now.
there's
It's an
amazing
event.
people, people
Yeah.
that have this sort of
And
cynical look at what's going on in New York. I just say, you're not going out, It's like, yeah, we went, and we
Right,
brag
because
about it
they're-
because it was such a fantastic time, this era, but there's still stuff going on.
Oh, sure, because it is a continuum.
Yeah,
I mean, there were
absolutely.
clubs and nightclub performers and wonderful things before we ever arrived in New York. So this is a long-standing
Uh-huh.
experience of New York City as the nightclub scene.
Because who has a scene like this? I mean, really. I mean, especially when you think of that particular era where,
No.
all this began, early
Right.
80s.
Not L.A. I mean,
I
unless
come
you wanna
from
drive
LA,
for
so
it.
I will say.
On the screen
Unless
now,
Oh,
Vicky
yes.
Dearlam and Michael Pedisano in an
In the
Ethel
Ethel.
Eichelberger production.
Were you in that one?
I was a stage manager for this one.
Well, you know, the other thing is just the fantastic, I talk about an event, and you know, everybody has so many stories to tell about this time. And
That's
it just,
right.
part of this Howl Festival was to have a performance panel of people. Hattie was on it, Alien Comic was on it, and one of the stories was about Phoebe Legere. And just, it was about taking up, because you're in a club, because people are drinking, and because there's all this commotion,
Moving, talking, right?
you had to really get attention. It's very
With
different than
Andy
being,
Warhol.
And
Very-
behind us,
wow.
Andy Warhol, right. Beautiful shot.
I mean, there was no hope for you if you weren't really exciting and capturing,
That's right,
you
to
know.
hold people's attention, absolutely.
And somebody
Absolutely.
told a story of being at 8BC, I think it was, and there was a piano around, and they just brought it, they hoisted it up somehow, and at the
Right, 'cause
beginning of the show,
stage at 8BC was high. It was
Uh-huh.
quite high. You were sort of in the concrete pit if you were in the audience.
Right. 8BC
So I'm
being,
sure
I remember
hoisting a
that place.
piano was quite an event.
it was an event, but then, I mean, this was going to be somehow thrown out, and there was a big story about Phoebe Legere had peed on this piano, and you know, it was a piece,
Did it,
and
did
it
it
just,
improve the sound, or
I'm sure it did, but beginning of the show, it just smashed
piano
to the ground.
tutors? Listen.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
So anyway, just something where it's, you know, it's exciting, it's happening, and I think
Sure.
that's what I think will
And this
be.
weekend won't just review all these stories, but it'll create new ones.
That's
I'm
exact.
sure.
Thank you, Miss Moosey. Thank
Right.
you.
As last year did, it was a great show last year, and it really did seem like it was a rebirth in a sense.
Well, the other thing is people come in and they're not just seeing a show. I had a lot of people, and you know, lots happens that you don't expect. You know, and I'm lucky. I just get to help put it together, and you know, I'm there and I get to enjoy it, and people come up afterwards, and you
But
know.
it does develop a life of its own.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It
And
really
it
does.
really does. And people, especially for this, where, I mean, Ethel had, you know, did Broadway shows, I mean, the span of that, and gorgeous costumes, and came up and said, you know, thanks for doing this. I was not a part of this. I really wish I'd seen Ethel, and it gave them a real experience and flavor of what they had missed.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to love the videotape.
Oh, the
It's
videotape is going to be
really
great.
fun.
I've already seen
So come
segments
out
of it.
this weekend,
One of them is
everybody.
Nelson Sullivan Goes Clubbing, and the years, which I think we're up to 89, and then the second is the Pyramid years, you know.
Well, thanks for coming, Sally.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
I'll
Salley
see
May,
the
for
two of
joining
you
us.
definitely this weekend.
All right, and we hope we see you.
Yes. And
Yeah.
thanks for joining us on
And-
Let Them Talk, and thanks for joining us,
Thank
Salley May.
you for having a show.
And we'll
Let
see you
them
next
talk.
week, where we have a great show planned. See you
with
then.
Professor Irwin Corey.
Professor Irwin
So
Corey.
tune in at 7, because we're going to do 7 to 7:30 and 8 to 8:30.
Next
Wow,
week
double
here
double
on Let
whammy.
Them
Good.
Talk.
That's right.
Good.